Hey everyone, how you doing? It's me, Geraldine Convento, the entrepreneur guide, web and SEO expert. And today we are here with one of my good friends, Chrysy from Koloraddikt. Hey, what's up?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And the reason why I brought you on today is I felt like our audience could really get a lot of value from your expertise. From what I understand and what I know you to be is a brand strategist. And I
Mhm.
know you've been doing this for over 8 years. And what made me like really connect to you, and I feel like every time we talk, we really have great conversation, is you own multiple businesses. So like you've been doing this. It's not like you have one business and you're a solopreneur. You actually have a team and a whole structure by which you run your business, which I think is super valuable for anyone who's either just starting a business or in growth stage. From what I understand, you help clients with marketing and online presence. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, you got it.
Cool. And one of the things that really stuck out to me in our conversation one day is when you were saying that you're all about making business simple. And I
Mhm.
was like, brilliant. So let's tell the audience, what does that mean to make business simple?
Absolutely. I love it. So for me, when I talk about making things simple, there's three pillars to that. So you have focus, delegation, and then automation. Of course, like systems, but you can focus and delegate and automate different systems, but you have to make decisions on which ones you do. So those are the three pillars. You're either going to figure out what you need to focus on. Most times, entrepreneurs, it's more of priority management than it is time management, knowing the right things to work on when you do have limited time, because we all have limited time. We actually all have the same amount of time. We all get the same amount.
You sure?
It doesn't feel like it, does it? And then automation and delegation, like building that remote team or on-site team too, but just how to utilize that team, how to build the systems in order for that team to flourish. So for me,
Wow.
that's simplifying business. Just three easy ways.
Okay. I could see how with a lot of clients or even with myself in my journey, prioritization is really a big one, a big thing of struggle because you want to do all the things, especially if you have aspirations to own multiple businesses or you have a few different income streams. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you get to that place of prioritizing or how did you do it in your journey?
I love that question. So the way that I simplify it for people, because a lot of people say, I have all these things to work on, but I don't know what to do next. That is a clear indicator that you have no goals. Because if you had set goals, then obviously the next thing to do, if you have a huge list in front of you, you ask yourself a simple question. Does this get me to my goal? Yes or no? If it doesn't, it's not a priority. If it does, then you need to prioritize it. It needs to bubble up to the top of the list. That's the easiest way for me. Like when I'm trying to figure out what I should be working on, what my team should be focused on, I'm looking at either the goals we set for the quarter, the goals we set for the month, and even the week, right? What's our goals? Where are we trying to head? And does this particular task, it's easy for us to get like distracted with all the fun and shiny things, especially in tech, right? Tech,
Yeah.
there's always some tool someone's sending me, check this out. And I'm going down a rabbit hole for like 30 minutes or even an hour trying to look up this new thing. So it's easy to get distracted, but if you have goals, that should ground you.
Absolutely. And you bring up a good point because it's all about commitment. Like what are you committing to and in what time frame? Many people need to really commit to something.
Absolutely.
Don't just, I mean, I know there's a lot of different things that you could do, but there's ultimately a path, just like you said, when it comes to reaching your goals. I'm curious to know in your journey, what were those pain points that you came up against over and over that had you realize that you needed to do better and simplify everything that you're doing?
It really reared its ugly head when I made the transition to full-time entrepreneurship. I ended up telling myself if I can replace my full-time income in 3 months and do everything that it takes, I will then know it's possible and, not apply for anywhere and all that. I'll basically commit to the business 100%. Well, I was able to do that, but I was exhausted. I was working crazy hours. I was meeting with a ton of people. I wasn't sleeping. I was working in my bed. I was not getting dressed. I was just all over the place, just super chaotic.
I feel you.
Yeah. Yeah. You get in that like grind mode. Nobody wants to be there. We think it feels good, but it doesn't feel good. If you really check in with yourself, you feel pitiful. So able to make that money number, but seeing that the money was possible, but it's just about working at it and like putting those systems in place. So having structure, having certain things prepared. For me, me, it was a challenge that I gave to myself. So for the next like maybe 6 to 9 months, I spent all of that time building processes and different templates I can use to help streamline things, so I wasn't like recreating the wheel every single time. So it really just bred off of like being exhausted, not knowing the right answers, trying to make things easier for myself, right? One of the easiest things that we overthink on all the time is like our packages and pricing. And I was all over, every single person was getting a custom thing. And it took me hours to build a proposal. And I was building them in Canva.
Beautiful.
Canva. Right. They were beautiful. All the packages, they were beautiful. But it was like, how can I make this simpler? How can I get this done in not 3 hours of time for something that was much cheaper at the time? I mean, let's be real. When we start, most people, when they start, they charge not what they should be charging. So I was spending a lot of time for potentially no return. So I started asking the questions, how can I make this better? How can I improve this process? How can I streamline things? How can I focus on what I need to be focused on? What do I need to be focused on? So that's kind of what bred, unfortunately, but fortunately, because I would be here today without it, it was definitely out of extreme exhaustion and just being fed up with feeling the way I felt at the time.
Yeah. And, one of my biggest purposes of why I present content on IG or YouTube or anywhere on the internet to educate entrepreneurs of how to scale their business is because there are countless hours that you spend being exhausted, trying to figure it out, looking online, researching and all of that. It could take a lot of time for you to get to the place where you have these formulaic systems and the right team and all of those different things. So I like to educate and bring colleagues on like yourself so that we can help. There's still going to be a lot of work, no matter what. You can't just all of a sudden have the right formula and implement it and it's all good. There's going to be tweaking to make sure that it relates to your personal business. And, there might be some things that you might do differently from what we do, but we want to try and speed up that process because we get that you have to support yourself, get to yourself in a place where you're not worried about just your basic survival, and you can actually focus on building your business and be really excited about that. For me, it's always wonderful to be able to share these tips and see that people are actually willing to implement that into their business and make a change. My next question for you is, along your journey, like what did it really take for you to be able to focus? Like what type of encouragement did you have in your life? What type of things were you doing to really support you in this process? Because 3 months, that's a very short timeline.
Yeah. It was a very aggressive goal. But I was always one of those people who, I don't really think like this anymore, but I'm sure, listeners will identify with this. I was like, I can do anything, pressure is nothing. But that whole like working yourself to the bone mentality is going to just exhaust you in entrepreneurship because there's always something to do. It's not like work when you can leave work and work is done, like you don't have those days where you're like done, like there's no such thing. So I had to, for me to focus, I had to stop worrying about the unknown. Like you mentioned, like Googling and trying to research. To this day, it's very rare that I have research tasks. Most of your time, like especially if you're a new entrepreneur, you're wasting it on researching, figure this out, look into this. And just a trick that I learned in project management when I was working in corporate is just to have like concrete tasks, make a decision on, and then time box how much time you actually research. Because it's really easy to go down a YouTube rabbit hole. And the next thing you know, you're watching something completely different, or you still don't even have the actual thing that you need. So anytime I am researching, I use these little boxes, I flip it on its head, and it's a really easy way to just set a quick timer so that if something's beeping, get off of this platform. And to be fair, these platforms they're made for us to get hooked on them. They're made for us to get distracted, right? They want to keep you on the platform. So it's not your fault, but you just have to be conscious of it. So that's my number one tip when it comes to like focusing is stop worrying about the unknown, stop researching, stop paying attention to what other people are doing, pay attention to your process, what works for you, and be comfortable with kind of creating it and understanding that you're going to have to change it most likely a lot before you actually find your flow. You're going to find your rhythm over time.
And you bring up a good point about research, and I feel like you earlier in the beginning, you talked about delegation. That's a really important process of any scaling of a business. And if you think about research, that has a formula in itself. Like the main thing is like knowing the outcome and then the steps to do it. You can easily make that step by step. If you really feel like you do need to research, you can delegate that off to someone and just give them very clear outcomes of what you're looking for and have them give you options. I mean, one of the things that I really enjoy in working with teams is that when you delegate something off, there's always a possibility that that person can have an epiphany or think of something that's even beyond what you were intending and bring that to you. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. I love the fact that you even thought of that because I didn't, so I feel like for any of the entrepreneurs out there, research is definitely something that you should build your muscle around, delegating to someone and just seeing what happens if you have those resources to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I can just beat that into the entrepreneur's mindset, because I listened to another one of your shows where you mentioned something very similar and I was like, snaps, snaps. Okay. Because this literally just happened to me recently. One of my last hires was for a QA person. And in the past, I've been doing all the QA on our websites, which is quality assurance in case you don't know what that means. And so I was doing all the testing, reviewing, making sure it meets the requirements. He literally catches the things. And it's because like I got more, and so do you, right? As an entrepreneur, we have a lot of things being asked of us. We're not going to take the time to catch the smallest things. Like some of the things he were catching, he had me in my system like, whoa, like, how did you see that? And we have been looking at this project for months. It's been like that. So it's really important to trust your team, really important to get out of your own way. Like this ego of like, I know how to do it right. I know how to do it the best. Because there's someone out there that specializes in it that's probably much better than you. If we're being realistic and like truthful, they're probably much better.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've given us a few tips so far. You're talking about not spending too much time on research, time boxing, using, the little thing. That thing.
It's a little time box. You can get them on Amazon.
Yeah, little time box. We could drop your affiliate link if you have one. No, I'm just kidding. What else? What other tips can you give to entrepreneurs who are looking to simplify their business?
I think so. My biggest thing, and maybe this is just because I'm a nerd, is automation, which really just makes some people. I know everyone's fascinated by it, but when it comes to actually like building these things, they kind of tense up about it. And to be truthful, it doesn't have to be as workflow-ish and all the steps, right? The way I like to think of it is, what are the processes or what are the things that keep falling through the cracks? Because those are the things you need to, automate. What's the ball you keep dropping, right? Maybe it's sending a follow-up after a proposal. That's a really easy win that you can easily automate in a lot of tools, regardless of what you send your proposals in. Even if it's just creating a reminder so that you don't forget. It can be as simple as that. And it can also be something actually sending the follow-up for you. But getting creative and understanding like what's available. My biggest thing when it comes to automation is check the integrations tab on the tools you already use. They probably already talk to each other. There's no need to build, like I'm a huge Zapier fan. I build Zaps for everything, very complex ones.
All right, I'm going to have to prick your brain.
Yeah, oh my gosh, please do. Please do. Like I literally am thinking about creating a whole YouTube channel for Zapier because I love Zap. I literally piece so many things, everything really in my business is, my admins love me because I really, most of their job is like filling out a form that kicks off something else. Like a bunch of steps happen when they do this. For example, like, the IG Live sign up, that's completely automated. We don't touch it. We send the guests a link, they fill out a form, it puts all the things on the calendar, sends them all the things, sends the graphic designer the card to create the graphics, all the things. But I don't say that to overwhelm people, but it is possible. It's definitely possible. But in the meantime, look up like plugins, add-ons on Google, like Gmail. There's a lot of really good ones. Your integrations tab is like gold. Just figure out how you can make things talk to each other, or you can at least, at the very minimum, start documenting. And this isn't really an automation piece, but it's more of a streamlining piece. Start documenting the steps that need to happen in a particular process so that you can have one visibility of where something is is in the queue or like, you know, in the process, or you can essentially at least know you're not going to drop the ball on certain things. So we do this very often. We use Trello a lot. I probably have over 50 Trello boards with clients and on my team. Every project we work on, they all have Trello boards. I don't know how many I have, a lot, but we use them a lot for workflows. So we just identify the steps that each piece, whatever it is, needs to go through, and we just move it through so we can easily see, okay, this needs to happen. This needs to happen. There's notifications that are set up based on where the card is. So there's so many things. I like to say this is really, really important because we're not robots. Our minds are not set up to handle all of this information. And so to think that you're going to remember every little thing, it's really insane when you really think about it. When you really think about all the things we're asked to do as entrepreneurs, because we wear all the hats, right? So all the things we're asked to do, for you to remember every little thing, it's just, when you really think about it, it's like,
the brain,
remember that.
The brain processes about 2 million bits of information every single moment, and we only retain 7. So it's like, come on. A lot of people, I know a lot of you out there, sometimes you resist writing and you say, no, I like to talk, but writing and getting things out of your mind is super important, even if it's something you write down and you never look at again, because you don't want your brain to get so full that you miss the important things. And with a business owner, just like Chrysy just said, when we wear all the hats, we have to have eyes. We have to have eagle eyes on everything. We really have to see the big picture all the time.
Yeah. And it can be very, like you said, like if you don't have a place for those ideas, right? So I think personally, as an entrepreneur, you are a creator, right? You're innovative. So you're going to have a lot of ideas. You're not like crazy that you're staying up and, you know, you're sitting there at 1 o'clock in the morning, can't sleep because these ideas keep, you know, running through your mind. You just need a place to put that thing so that you can not worry about it anymore. Just a nice place to just sit this idea here until you have time to kind of explore it more. Yeah. I like Trello for that place. I just put it in I have like a whole list full of just things. I call it a backlog. I just put stuff in there. And then every month I make a habit of like going through it.
So many nuggets. So many nuggets. So I'm curious, I know you work on marketing campaigns and a lot more, like you have a mastermind and all that, but do you also do one-on-one consulting for business owners who need to streamline their operations?
Yeah, actually, I do a lot actually. So we call them like strategy consulting clients. So it's what we do with those particular clients, or really what I do is I work with them one-on-one, either weekly or monthly. And well, in the beginning, we identify those goals, right? Because we can't figure out what you need to work on before we have an idea of where you're going. You know, like to me, it just seems like common sense, but a lot of people don't think that way. Yeah. They're like, well, I need this and I need that. I need this. And I'm just like, okay, well, you're only one person. So, you know, like if I sat 10 buckets in front of you and said, fill up the buckets, one of them is going to get filled more, you know, or quicker. So you got to make a decision. And sometimes it's the hardest part. So we start with the goals, and then based on that, we kind of build everything out. Like what I was literally doing right before this call was in a strategy session, and we were building a zapier for her group coaching program so that all of her members can get automatically onboarded. Yeah, that's literally what I do.
I'm so excited to know that you're a Zapier expert. I mean, I understand the concept. I mean, naturally, because I'm a web developer and I know like conditions and things like that. But to know that you are an expert in Zapier, which connects everything together, okay, I'm gonna hit you up.
Yeah. I really like geek out about it. Like I was just literally telling my client, I was like, it's amazing. You just get this like bundle of excitement when you get a Zap to work. You're like, yes, it's just so exciting to me. I am such a nerd. I'm such a nerd.
A successful one. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I mean, I definitely think that a lot of takeaways that people can integrate into their business immediately. We're going to put the links to your IG accounts in the description and your website, so that way people can follow you. I definitely want to stay in network and community and conversation with you as we continue to help these entrepreneurs. Because I feel like, the more successful entrepreneurs are in the world, the greater society will be, because I believe that everybody will be more fulfilled because they're gaining a sense of accomplishment for themselves and what they're passionate about. And we'll just continue to learn. So I'm a big fan of entrepreneurship, and I know you are too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
All right, y'all. Well, thanks for tuning in to this episode. We look forward to communicating with you more. We'll see you next time. All right. Bye.
Yeah.